Hello everyone, welcome back again with us at Military TV. In this episode, we're going to talk about the Strait of Hormuz and why it is so important to the world's economy and military. The Gulf of Oman and the Persian Gulf are separated by the Strait of Hormuz. It is one of the world's most strategically significant choke points, providing the only sea passage from the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. Iran is located on the north coast, while the United Arab Emirates and Musandam, an Oman enclave, are located on the south coast. The strait is approximately 90 nautical miles long, with a width ranging from 52 to 21 nautical miles. The strait transports a third of the world's liquefied natural gas and almost a quarter of global oil consumption, making it a vital strategic position for foreign trade. Back to our main question of the topic today. What is the significance of the Hormuz Strait?
Iran has seized a British-flagged oil tanker in the Strait of Hormuz.
Laura, information today is shedding light on the Iranian seizure of a British oil tanker.
The seizure of a British-flagged ship by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps in the Strait of Hormuz on July 20 heightened an already tense geopolitical standoff.
If you obey, you will be safe. Alter your course 360 degrees immediately, over.
And highlighted the vital significance of this passageway to the Persian Gulf. The naval tussle is the result of a larger breakdown in relations between the US and the UK on the one hand, and Iran on the other. Iran's foreign minister indicated that the UK's seizure of the Iranian ship was done at the request of the US in a recent Twitter message, and reiterated that Iran does not pursue confrontation but will secure our waters. Due to its position and strategic importance for so much of the world, the Strait of Hormuz is a logical flashpoint for this geo-economic gamesmanship. The world's most powerful oil transit choke point, the hook-shaped waterway between Iran and Oman flows from the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman, and beyond that to the Indian Ocean. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, the 20.3 million barrels of oil per day exported through the strait in 2017 accounted for nearly a third of global maritime oil trade, and volumes in 2018 accounted for more than a quarter of global consumption. In addition, more than a fifth of all global trade in liquefied natural gas passed through the strait in 2018, with 1.4 million barrels per day passing through on their way to the U.S. And you must be wondering about the oil trade flow, origin, and destination of oil trade through the strait in 2014 through 2018. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, an average of 14 tankers a day passed through the strait in 2011, 17 million barrels or 2,700,000 cubic meters of crude oil out of the Persian Gulf. This was said to account for 35% of all seaborne oil exports and 20% of all oil traded globally. There was a series of various military events that happened, such as the War of the Tankers. In early 1984, Iraq attacked an oil terminal and tankers on Iran's Karg Island, beginning the tanker war process of the Iran-Iraq War. Saddam Hussein's aim in targeting Iranian shipping was to pressure the Iranians into retaliating with drastic measures, including closing the Strait of Hormuz to all maritime traffic, resulting in American interference. Iran's retaliatory attacks were limited to Iraqi shipping, leaving the strait accessible.
This is a warning. Stop and abandon ship. I intend to sink you.
On April 18, 1988, the U.S. Navy engaged Iranian forces in a one-day combat in and around the strait.
Just days after USS Samuel B. Roberts hit the mine, President Reagan ordered U.S. forces to strike back.
The war was launched in revenge for the USS Samuel B. Roberts hitting a mine laid in the channel by Iran on April 14, 1988, and was dubbed Operation Praying Mantis by the U.S. One frigate, one gunboat, and up to 6 armed speedboats were sunk by U.S. forces, and a second frigate was severely damaged. On June 29, 2008, Muhammad Ali Jafari, the commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, said that if Israel or the United States invaded Iran, the Strait of Hormuz will be closed, causing havoc in the oil markets. This came after further vague warnings from Iran's oil minister and other government officials that an assault on the country would cause global oil supply disruption. And in 2008 was a year of naval action. During Operation Brimstone, hundreds of U.S. and international naval ships arrived in the shallow waters off the coast of Iran to conduct joint exercises in preparation for future military action. More than 40 U.S. and allied ships were reportedly en route to the Strait of Hormuz as of August 11, 2008. Because of this tension, is Iran on the verge of closing the Strait of Hormuz? The presence of the Fifth Fleet of the United States Navy in Bahrain has long cast doubt on Iran's ability to close the waterway, according to analysts. Furthermore, the U.S. announced in May that it would send an aircraft carrier squadron, bombers, and patriotic anti-missile battery to the area to fight what the Trump administration described as strong signs that Iran and its proxies were planning to strike U.S. forces. President Donald Trump challenged the U.S. involvement in the area shortly after the drone attack and urged China, Japan, and other countries to defend their own ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz. As President Hassan Rouhani threatened late last month, ongoing tensions between Iran and the West could lead to Tehran shutting down foreign oil shipments in the strait. According to Deutsche Welle, Rouhani said, "We have always guaranteed the protection of this strait. Do not play with the lion's tail, you will be sorry for the rest of your life." Iran is more likely to block traffic in the Strait of Hormuz than to go to war with the United States, which is militarily much stronger. However, Iran will pay a high price for doing so. So, when it comes to the Hormuz Strait, we draw conclusions. One of the world's most strategically significant choke points is the Strait of Hormuz, based on the following reasons. India imports 2/3 of its oil and half of its liquefied natural gas through the strait between Iran and Oman. Every day, up to 18 million barrels of oil travel through the Strait of Hormuz, accounting for 1/3 of all oil trade worldwide. The strait also handles 1/3 of the world's LNG traffic. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, 18.5 million barrels of oil per day passed through the waterway in 2016. In 2016, about 30% of crude and other oil liquids traded by sea were crude and other oil liquids. According to Vortexa, approximately 17.2 million BPD of crude and condensates were exported through the strait in 2017, and approximately 17.4 million BPD in the first half of 2018. With global oil consumption at about 100 million barrels per day, the strait transports nearly 1/5 of the world's oil. Thanks for watching, and see you next video.